Hi, I'm Lydia. Today I'm going to be talking about tomato pruning. Tomato pruning is really important because it helps with yield of your tomatoes and it also helps to prevent diseases. It's really simple and it should be done throughout the season, starting at the beginning all the way to the end. So before we get into pruning, we have to talk about the two different types of tomato plants. There's determinate and indeterminate. The difference is determinate are shorter and they have stubbier growth. They require little to no pruning. Indeterminates are very tall, they can get up to 10 feet high, and they require pruning throughout the year. The easiest way to tell is just by looking at your plants. They'll be shorter if they're determinate, and very tall if they're indeterminate. You can also look up the name of your seeds, and online it will tell you whether or not those are indeterminate or determinate. Another difference between indeterminate and determinate is that determinate have really short growing seasons compared to indeterminates. That's why you have to prune indeterminates, because they just keep growing. So each week you should really be in here pruning them. These tomatoes have not been pruned yet, and it is almost the middle of the growing season. But it's not the end of the world, as you can see. We have a lot of tomatoes here, and it's not too late to start pruning now. So the first place that I'm going to start when I'm pruning my tomatoes is at the base of the plant. So experts say that there should be about 6 inches of plant here, just the main vine with no other secondary stems. So I'm going to go through and trim off all of the secondary stems from my main vine. So as you can see, this is the main vine, and I'm going to cut off the secondary stems from the main vine. And there may be some tomatoes on there, but it's better to do it now because it'll just help prevent diseases later. One more. And that's good. You leave just about 6 inches from the ground up of no secondary vine growth. Now that I've trimmed up the base of my tomato plants, I'm going to tie them to the stake just so they don't fall over. Help support the plant a lot better. So I'm just going to tie this to the post. And you can continue to add more string onto your post as the tomato plant grows taller, just to help support it. All right, now I'm going to get into the next part of pruning. I'm going to go through and take off all the suckers. So the suckers grow between the main vine, the main stem, and the secondary stems. So as you can see here, this is a sucker. They're easy to spot, and you're just going to want to trim those right off. The reason we do this is because they, like in the name, they suck the life out of the tomato plants, and they don't really give back anything. They don't grow tomatoes on them. So if you remove them, you'll get bigger tomatoes and more of them. Here's our main stem and our secondary stems, and here's the sucker in between those. We're going to just clip that right off. And you can go through the entire plant. There's all different sizes. Here's a really small sucker. You're going to want to remove that one. There's actually a very large one. Main stem, secondary stem, and sucker in between. And you're just going to do this each week when you're in the garden checking out your tomatoes. It's a good habit to get into, to just trim them up every week, and it helps with yield. So this is my tomato plant after I've pruned the suckers, as well as the base of the plant, 6 inches. And I've also tied up the plant up to the post so that it supports it. Looks a lot better than before, less messy, and it looks great. Pruning should be done, like I said earlier, at the beginning of the season. It's better to do it towards the beginning so that if there are any tomatoes that have actually grown on some of the vines that you got to cut, you're not losing much yield. So towards the beginning, middle, and end, continue to prune your tomatoes and keep them healthy. And by the end of the season, you'll have some great tomatoes. Thanks for watching.